Hey, welcome to the Road Less Traveled. I'm your host, Dolo. Decided to film from my bed today because frankly I'm so tired of sitting at that desk. So here I am, from my bed. Welcome to the Road Less Traveled. And Mickey's here. Not that he has anything to do with anything, but he is here. Today's episode is going to be on other people and manifesting. So, this subject is actually a rather important one for me because I'm still learning how to properly do this, of course. And again, it's a forever learning. We will all be learning forever. Long story short, one has nothing to do with the other. I personally have in the past, currently, I will soon no longer struggle with thinking or feeling like other people are in my space, feeling like other people were in my way on purpose or like living on top of me. After studying a little bit, I'm realizing from Abraham Hicks' teaching, sometimes it does seem like other people are doing things to us. And don't get me wrong, like there are people who are just downright jerks. Like that's what they want to be. That's what works for them at the moment. So there are things that people do, but what anyone is doing around you does not affect your self-concept or your evolution. So I know we can all have a situation where we're like, well, I was just driving and this other car pulled in front of me without a signal light last minute and then slammed on brakes. Listen, I have struggled in the past with this, and that was a big one for me. That was a big one. Even now, sometimes, of course, like I have to stop myself and I have to pull it together. Like I literally will turn on a street that I was not going down if it's really getting to me like that. But it's been a while since anything like that got to me, truthfully, because I've been working on it. The goal is to eventually be in a place that you're so aligned that nothing that anyone around you is doing or saying bothers you in any way. So this can range in a lot of ways. Other people and you're manifesting. There is thinking that people are in the way or feeling like people are in the way, feeling like people are taking from you. But the truth is, in a situation like that, now my initial reaction to somebody pulling in front of me without a signal light last minute would be, you're an idiot. But after learning and implementing the changes and speaking positively and carrying myself positively every day, I realized us being individual spirits in these bodies that we're borrowing for now, that doesn't make that person an idiot. It just bothers me, okay? And at the end of the day, people are not here to not bother me. And so a situation like that, it's like, okay, I think that what you did was inconsiderate. But the truth is, does it change anything in my life? Not really. Of course, it could cause a car accident if we won't go into those details right now, but long story short, if you continue to practice your positive vibration and you stay there as often as possible, then again, you're going to be vibrating in things that attract on your vibration level. Things that you are emitting are what you're going to receive back. And so, for instance, in a situation like someone pulling in front of you, there's always some sort of an underlying reason that came to you. But long story short, if you were to not get all bent out of shape about it, they pulled in front of you, so what? You moved on with your life. It didn't affect anything. It didn't stop anything you were doing. Everyone has different personalities. And I personally am really close to a lot of people that have very different personalities from me. We want different things. We perceive things differently. We comprehend differently. We carry ourselves differently. Again, that's part of the journey. That's part of the learning. That's part of it all. You need contrast. That's what Abraham Hicks calls it, contrast. There is nothing that you can ever do in life to stop contrast, to stop something that is not along with your flow. All you can really do is lessen it by making sure you're mostly vibrating high at all times. That's it. But contrast is not a bad thing because, for instance, something can happen and you look at it as a terrible thing at that time, only to realize later it was actually a blessing in disguise, or it was something that you actually needed to happen. I think we can all relate to a time where we were supposed to let something or someone go and we just could not seem to do it. Next thing you know, it was done for us. Sometimes in a happy way, sometimes in a way that was not so happy, but it gets handled for us because we weren't handling it. Your inner being is always trying to guide you and direct you. If something isn't feeling good to you, it's because it is going against your inner being. And the best thing to do at times like that is to just stop and evaluate what's bothering you and why it's bothering you. When you do that, you get a lot further when it comes to your self journey, because you're understanding what your triggers are. You're understanding what is bending you out of shape. You're learning to set your boundaries to fix it or to stop it from being that way, to adjust it, to better it, to keep your positive momentum going, because that's what you want at all times. You want positive things flowing in your life, mostly. Another way that you feel other people are affecting your manifestation or your law of attraction sometimes is the way that they carry themselves. Kind of like I just said, there's a contrast in everyone. We're individual spirits. We take different paths. Even if we were raised together, we're raised in the same house, we're raised by the same people, whatever is the case, we are literally individual spirits. So think about this. You are the only person that wakes up in that body every day. The only one. And you're the only one that goes to sleep in that body every night. The only one. So just keep that in mind. When it comes to taking care of yourself, that's your job. You are literally the only one that can do that because you know how to do it best. You're the only person for that job when it comes to taking care of yourself. So take care of yourself. Take care of yourself first. It is important. You cannot care for nobody else if you're not caring for yourself. Other people, they'll say things sometimes to discourage you or against what you want. And that's why most of the times it is best if you have a goal you suspect may not blow over nicely with the people in your life. Keep it to yourself. You don't owe anyone anything to have to explain what it is that you're planning or that you want for your life. And if you feel as if it's not received properly, then don't share it. You don't have to. I've learned that some things are best kept to me. And I've learned that sometimes less is more. I used to talk a lot. I still talk a lot when I'm on a subject that interests me. I will get to rambling. I will get on my soapbox. Until you have complete control on your own self-concept, that's definitely an area that could throw you off balance. And the quick response is, oh, well, before he did that or before she did that, I was feeling fine. I was doing great. And then this happened. But after, before this happened, I was fine. Listen, that was me. I did it. It was just like 6 months ago. I was back in a place where I was so unbalanced, was so unaligned that it seemed like every time something went wrong, I'm like, why me? I was really, really trying, and then so-and-so walked in and did this. People would suggest things, and I'd be like, I already tried it. Because the truth was I had tried a lot of things. And for me, if I tried it from this angle, and I tried it from that angle, and then I tried a little bit from this angle too, I tried everything. You're talking to me, and I already did all that. But long story short, I had to realize once I got back aligned that things happen without explanation sometimes. And a lot of times things happen in a way that is completely illogical. Like if you think about the facts about the situation, it wasn't supposed to happen that way. If you think about the way it happened, if you think about how unexpected it was and how covered the whole situation became, here on Earth, in the 3D world, a lot of us call that a miracle, or it was a twist of fate, coincidence, a freak accident. However you want to explain it away, the truth of the matter is law of attraction. You are attracting at all times. You're always attracting, meaning you will either pull towards you what you want or what you don't want. And it's not an overnight thing. This is a momentum that you get going after a while when you're thinking the same types of thoughts. And if the majority of thoughts are negative, then it's not going to matter if you throw one positive thought in there every now and again, because it's just going to get washed away with all the negativity. So it's just about being mindful of your thoughts, being mindful of what you're thinking, of what you're feeling inside, because a great way to get off task, a great way to get unbalanced, a great way to get further from your goal or your goals is to contradict yourself. Don't say you want something and you're not actually doing the work inside of here, because again, even if it's behind closed doors, it's happening. It's happening. It's factual. So you are attracting to you either what you want or what you don't want at all times. Keep that in mind. Your memory is really hard in the future. That's what Abraham Hicks said in one of her seminars. And I thought that was kind of deep. If you think about it, yes. A lot of our actions are hindered by the past. And then sometimes, I know personally I've had situations where I'm coming up out the past, I'm doing my best work, I'm trying hard to get from what happened, and I'm letting it go, not because I'm running from it, but because I don't want to live like that. I don't want to live tied to that time and that event, especially if it wasn't a positive or good time and event, if I don't have great results from it. That's not where I want to live. I want to live in what's going to happen. I want to live in the time that I have while I'm here, because I literally don't know which day. I'm sure we've all experienced at some point someone who feels like they won't let us move forward. You know, we're telling them we want to do this. We're telling them we're trying this. We're getting started on this. And they're just like, well, you never really finished what you started. And you said that last year. And you know the type. We all know the type. We all know the type. You need to get to a point where you are so aligned that you rely on your inner being before anything, before any facts here on earth. You rely on your inner being, because people can seem to get in your way in so many ways, but they're not in your way. Focus on you. Focus on what your goal is. Focus on keeping yourself aligned. So doing things that feel good to you, feeding yourself good, happy thoughts and memories, and people, surrounding yourself with people that do support you, people that do think well of you. There are some of us who really don't care about your opinion on matters, and then there are some of us who it depends on whose opinion it is. Spiritually, as I said, we're all just different spirits in different bodies. We all picked up these bodies to use it for this adventure, to learn our powers of thought and emotion in 3D form. You know, we're here to learn the steps of how to do it, and then we can just boom, 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 have what we want when we want. Like, that's what we signed up to do. So once we get here and we start intermingling with other people, and it's easier to get confused when you're younger, of course, because these are your people. This is what you're shown. This is what you're supposed to be doing, supposedly. And it's only if you ever are able to get up and meet other people and or think outside of what you're being taught that you realize nobody's going to do it the same way. And there is not a wrong way to do this. This is what people don't understand. There's not a wrong way to do it. Just understand what you're putting out is what you're going to get back. And if those are the results you want to bring in, then you're good in that spot. But if you want to do better, you got to do better. And when I say things like that, like do better and learn and elevate in things, I'm not talking about against one specific standard. I'm talking about whatever is your elevation in your life at that time. Whatever you doing better looks like. Whatever you being happy feels like. You know, I'm talking about you specifically because, again, you're the only one in that body. Nobody nowhere can tell you how to do it or what's the right way to do it because it's you. You understand? That's your job. So get on it. Sometimes I refer to inconsiderate people as living on top of other people, because that's how it used to feel to me when people were invading my space. And if you've checked out my podcast, which is linked below, The Road Less Traveled, you will have heard me in the past griping about this. I used to gripe. The podcast isn't about griping, but at the same time, I did gripe about people. I always felt like I would go in public and people were so rude and disrespectful, and I would open the door and they can't say thank you. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you have to say thank you when someone opens the door, but I was in a place when I was unaligned where I felt like, well, why don't you want to say thank you? At the end of the day, somebody opened the door for you and you didn't have to do it, and like they didn't work here. I mean, what makes you not want to say thank you? However, after rejoining my journey back in October, I'm learning that the reality is other people have nothing to do with me. If I feel some type of way about them not saying thank you, then I feel some type of way about it. What I do is I just got to adjust that in the future. Maybe I don't open the doors for anybody else. But the reality is there is a point of alignment that you can get to where it just literally doesn't bother you. And that's how it should be. Nothing that anyone else is doing should bother us because it does not affect us. Abraham Hicks gives another good metaphor for this, actually. She says that think of everyone as like radio stations. We're all tuning different stations. And that's literally what it comes down to. We're vibrating differently. We're picking up different things. We're putting out different things. We're tuning different stations. And what she says is when you're surfing through the channels and you're trying to find what you want to listen to, you don't scold other radio stations for playing what you don't want to listen to. You just move past them. You just keep searching until you find a station that has what you want to listen to. And it's the same thing with life. It's the same thing when it comes to who you're surrounding yourself with and what you're doing with your time and how you're feeling inside. And if you're respecting your own wishes, it all comes down to the same thing. You're tuning. And if someone is not tuning to the same station around you, the truth is, I mean, nobody's going to stop you from getting offended or feeling some type of way. But the truth is that person does not owe you anything, and they're just tuning on a different channel. Don't listen to their channel. Don't be there for it. Even when it comes to loved ones, if you have negative loved ones or pessimistic loved ones, and it feels draining to be around them because all they do is gripe and speak badly of themselves and everyone else, they gossip, they put everybody down. Like, if you have loved ones like that, you can still love them, but you have to learn where your boundaries are. You have to learn what not to let in and how short to keep it. Again, you're the only one that can level this. You're the only reader on this. But you have to figure out how short to keep it, where you've dealt with this person, you came to handle what you came to do, and now you're going to move back to your peace. You're going to move on to what feels good to you. And you're not going to be ashamed to do it. Don't be ashamed to do it. Because again, it's your job to take care of you. It's not that person's job to take care of you. It's nobody else's job. Even right down to our parents. It's not their job. It is your job to take care of you. And so, yeah, there's that. Just realize we're all here. We are supposed to coexist, and I understand that sometimes it's more frustrating than others, and sometimes you feel like people are coming for you, because sometimes I feel like people are coming for me. But just work on you and bettering you and lifting you and feeling better about you, because it comes back. You know, it comes back. When you feel good thoroughly, none of the things on the outside are going to affect that. Something else Abraham Hicks says, don't be happy conditionally. Do not be conditionally happy. I agree with that. I agree with that wholeheartedly. You can't place your happiness in someone else or in something. Your happiness has to be from you. It has to be in you. It has to be with you. You got to take care of that. You're the best person for the job. Just like everything else, of course it takes practice. It's easier said than done at first, but you have to start somewhere. Start implementing it. Make a list of all of the positive things about you, and that will help you find a place to start with focusing on you and taking care of you. Make a list of everything that is super dope about you. I'm going to be truthful with you. I'm very happy with where I am in life. I'm very happy. And I mean, I've been working on this for a while. Not the law of attraction per se, but I've been working on me for a while, and I did it. There are so many different angles. Like, I started, it's crazy how many like religions and things I learned about. I started as someone who was completely ignorant to any sort of religion or any sort of self-concept, or, you know, the fact that this was being studied, should I say. I knew what felt good to me. I knew who I was, and I knew that I've always been a nice, kind-hearted person. Now, you have individuals that feel like that's a weakness. You have individuals that feel like you can't handle your own if that's the case. I'm here to tell you that's not the case, because I've always held my own, and there's nothing weak here. However, I've always been a nice person, and I've always been kind-hearted. Like, I love that about me personally. I love that about me, and I embrace it. After all of the research I did, all of the learning I did, I'm so happy with me. I'm happy with where I am, and I'm so comfortable and peaceful every day I wake up, because I'm doing what I want to do. I'm doing what I said I was going to do. I'm living life. I'm taking the steps. And so I'm proud of that. And I just want us all to get to a place where that is how we feel majority of the time. You know, because it's easy to get off balance, especially if you have to go out in public every day and you don't yet know where your alignment is. Because if you're still trying to align and then you got others bumping into you, it makes a difference. It makes a difference. Because, again, you'll get to a point where you are so aligned with yourself that others can bump into you and they just kind of bounce off, and you don't even really notice it because you're not there. You're not on that level no more. You're not there. And I've actually been there before. Like, I tasted it. I felt a peace. And then somewhere along the line, I got pulled back in. And again, we all do it to ourselves if we get off balance. So I definitely accept that I did that. I've done it. a few times actually. But I'm proud to say that I got back on track. Where I am right now, I'm so happy because I'm dope. I'm super dope. Like, I'm really a phenomenal woman. Yeah, much self-love over here. Much self-love. I'm at a point where I'm comfortable even speaking about certain things. I don't like to often because I just don't like going back. I'm really a person that feels like, what is the point half the time? But if it's relevant to help someone, I don't mind going back. I can speak on it because it doesn't affect me now. Now my biggest struggle is like being able to have people bounce into me and I still stay aligned, because a lot of the times I don't stay aligned when it happens. A lot of the times when I bring someone into my space or something changes about my routine, I'm off balance. If I hear someone speaking negative all the time, if I stop and watch every negative news story, like it starts to affect me still. I'm not there yet. Everyone is affected differently too. For me, like when I say it affects me, I mean after a while, I just start to get dark again. Like I can have a really dark sense of humor sometimes. And I think I mentioned before that I grew up around people that kind of made fun of like happy people and people, hippie type people. And I'm a hippie. I've always been hippie. Like I'm all about peace, love, joy. Truthfully, like don't get me wrong, I've always been someone to chase the bag. I don't think it'll ever stop that I will have hustle in me, because I enjoy being productive. I enjoy being useful, and I enjoy what money brings in the 3D world. We'll put it that way. Again, I was working on a lot of things for a lot of years when it came to my temperament and acceptance on certain things about myself. I worked on it for a lot of years. It all came together, especially when I heard Abraham Hicks put it in the terms that she put it in. It all made a lot of sense to me, what's been going on all this time. And so I'm really just comfortable with everything that I am and everything that I have. For me, it wasn't a huge leap because I've always been a very appreciative and humble, grateful person. I've always been someone that stops to smell the roses. I've always been someone that appreciates life. And it wasn't but a hop, skip, and a jump for me when it all got put together that you need to live positively. You need to keep being positive. You need to keep being happy. For me, it was like, okay, I can do that. I can do that. So I did say that I wanted to share a success story with you all. Actually, something I manifested before I knew about the law of attraction, but even to this day, it's so impressed on me. Let's get into it. Years ago, many years ago, I was living a completely different life. I was in a different vibration completely, and I was one of those people, like I said, always chasing the bag. I was about that money. I've always had like 2 and 3 jobs my whole life. Ever since I started working, I had 2 and 3 jobs. And sometimes it wasn't out of need. It was just because like that's my mind frame was I had to do more. I had to work harder. A few people said that. And so I thought, yes, I have to kill myself to make money. And I make money to, pay my bills and stuff. I was in a vibration that was not functional for me. And I'm in a vibration now that's very functional for me. Very realistic for a person like me. This was years ago. I was already working, just had my second son, and I was still married, and he worked. Don't get me started. I was looking to take the next step in my life. And at that time, the next step was being a CNA. Like that was the next step up for me. Income. It was a step in the direction that I wanted to go at that time. I signed up for a CNA class. During the class, I end up meeting another female who has a similar life. She has a kid or two. I don't remember now because, again, this was many years ago. But she has a kid or two and she has a husband. And something happened where her car was unavailable. And I don't remember the details. I remember the outcome. What happened was she needed help. I offered to help her. At this time, during these years, I was still a bleeding heart. Not quite a doormat, but definitely a bleeding heart. Like at this time, it was like if you needed it, she got you. It's not what it is now. Sure, she told me she needed help and I wanted to help. And so I offered to pick her up and I ended up getting up about half an hour early every day. Class starts at like 6. So I was getting up about half an hour earlier and going to get her, which was not on the way either. It was not on the way. It was across town. And then we had to go back this way. My mind frame at that point was if I could be of use to someone and it doesn't hurt me, I will. I always did. Like that just made me feel good. And so it wasn't hurting me to get up a little bit earlier and I did it. I'm like, if we can both win, let's both win. So I'm doing this and we get to the last day of class. Now, our teacher goes in. She goes in on the rules and expectations for our final exam the next day, our skills test, final exam. She says, when it comes to time, you need to be here at least 10 minutes earlier. If you are not here at least 10 minutes earlier, you are late. Okay? And after 6 o'clock, the door will be locked. No one is allowed to come in. You are not welcome. We will not acknowledge you, and you will fail. You will fail. Mind you, we've been taking this course for, I think it was a couple of months. She said, you will fail. If you are not here on time, you will fail. There are no exceptions. There are no exceptions. This applies to everyone. It has always applied this way. There are no exceptions. Be here on time, or you do not pass this course and you do not get your certificate. I'm thinking, Dad, like, whoa, that's, whoo, pressure's on. You know what I mean? But I understood it was supposed to be that serious. And so I'm like, okay, I'm not concerned about it because, again, I had already worked picking her up into my everyday schedule. It was nothing. It was just a part of the plan. And we're normally there on time. You know, if we're late ever, it was like 6:01. Like, and that's nothing. So what happened was I come to her house the next morning and I'm knocking and I'm calling her and I'm texting and she's not answering the door, not answering the phone. Decision time. Okay, yeah, I feel badly that she's not going to get hers, but I got to go. So I go to leave, and I think I got like halfway up the street, and she called me. Oh, I overslept. I'm sorry. I'm ready. I'm so sorry. And so, you know, again, at this time, cool. I turned around, and I picked her up. And we pulled up to the hospital, I want to say like 5 minutes to. And at the hospital, you have to park in a certain parking garage on a certain level, and then you got to go back across the promenade to where the exam was. So again, we pull up about 5 minutes to. As we're coming into the entrance, the door that we go in is to the left here, but the parking garage is up further. I'm driving and it's my car. We agree that she's going to jump out, run in, let the teacher know we're there, and that I'm just parking the car. And we have this whole signal set up. She'll come back to the door and she'll give me a signal or something, whatever's the case. Long story short, that's not how it worked out. She went inside. I waited like 30 seconds maybe to see if she'd come back and give the signal, and she didn't come back. She didn't come back, and so I went to park the car. And by the time I finally like found the parking and did all that, it was like 6:10. So I said at that point, usually I'm the type to try anyway, but I said at that point, like she already said 10 minutes early is on time. And she said 6 o'clock, the door is locked. So I was like, don't even embarrass yourself. This is before I knew anything about the law of attraction, like I said. Things were good for what life was at that time. And so it's not like I was in a bad place. It's not like I should be dragging too many bad things to me, because that's not how I was living. But long story short, it was like 6:10. And so I said, by the time you get to the door, physically get to the door, like there's just no point. And so I didn't. And hopefully that's not what you take from this story, because usually I'm one to always say try, regardless of what, try. Especially nowadays, because so much has happened since then. I always say try. And in fact, I kind of beat myself up. I felt so defeated. I felt like an idiot because I'm like, I was trying to help. Now look at this. Like she's gonna get her CNA, and you already put in all this work, and you worked her into your schedule even though she wasn't on the way. Here you go with this bleeding heart. I'm beating up on myself and I'm feeling terrible. Like that was stupid. You should have just you should not have went to get her like at all. I'm kicking myself galore. I realize now with the law of attraction that's not a good thing to do. Don't beat up on yourself. If it happens, it happens. You can acknowledge it, but don't sit in that place. And don't beat up on yourself, because that's not love, beating on yourself. This is where the self-love comes in. You love yourself. You don't want to treat yourself badly. You want to treat yourself well. You want to make yourself feel better. Don't be so hard on yourself. That was one of my huge holdups. I was hard on myself. About 2 weeks later, I get my certificate in the mail. It was signed by that same teacher that said no exceptions. And it was freshly signed, okay? Maybe not that morning because obviously it was in the mail, but it was freshly signed is what I'm saying. And of course, they're dated. It was dated for after the exam. I didn't take the exam. Let's go to that. I didn't take the exam. Now, mind you, we had other exams throughout the way, but the final exam I did not take because I didn't go in because I thought I failed already. I counted myself out before it even happened. Thankfully, I had already put so many positive things into my momentum that it came anyway. It came anyway. Because the majority of what flowed in my momentum was positivity. And so it came anyway. And that's my success story. I'm really happy about that even to this day, because I went on, I was a CNA for 6 years and I was a med tech for 2. And I was really happy about that. At the time, like I said, that was a big step up for me, and I was proud of myself that I had done it. And even though I thought I wrecked my life by missing that exam, it turned out not to be the case, because of all the work I had already put in to the universe, all of the positivity I had already spread. I have lots and lots of other stories I will be sharing throughout the season, but there's one, hopefully it inspires you to some extent. Your attraction, your manifesting is unlimited. There are no limits to this. It's not held up by someone else getting in your way. It's not held up by someone else saying something. But you do have to take control. Find out what you want. Find out what you really genuinely actually want here inside. And put in the work to get there. Love on yourself. Start from the beginning. Make that list. What is great about you? Wake up in the morning and read that list. That's how you start. One good thought, then another good thought, and then always try to put the good thoughts over the bad thoughts. The bad thoughts are going to come. It's a part of life. But when it comes, catch yourself, stop it, redirect it. Nah, we're not doing that right now. I'm thinking happy stuff. I mean, that's what I do anyway. And it's been working for me. Try it. Try it. Try it. When it comes to other people, I know sometimes it feels as if they are affecting you in some way, because they're giving their opinions when you didn't ask. They're telling your business when you didn't ask. They are doubting you when you didn't ask. You're trying to drive down the street and here they come, sliding across 3 lanes without a signal light. I understand. I get it. Don't let it affect you. Don't let it hold you back. Because at the end of the day, these people that you feel are in your way are people that don't have your same goals. They don't know where you're going. And half the time, they're not going with you and don't even deserve to go with you. Don't give the energy there. Give the energy where it does the most work. Give the energy to the positivity. Give the energy to loving yourself. Forget the other people. Forget what they have to say. I know a lot of times there are situations where you're like, okay, well, there's a 10-day deadline, and if you don't in 10 days, and you know, you're going to get a fee for this. And I understand that there are 3D constraints and 3D deadlines that happen. Those are legit things. But again, when you start practicing, start from somewhere. What do you want? Write your list on what is so dope about you. Start there and keep gradually building. And checking in with videos like, well, hopefully mine is going to be useful to somebody. But checking in on videos of other people who manifest and or practice the law of attraction on purpose is helpful, because we're here to let you know you're not alone. And all of the people I've seen so far are just regular people, same as you. Just trying to give you a leg up. Just trying to help out. Just trying to do a little translating at the end of the day. Don't let anyone get you down. Don't let their opinions affect you. Don't let their behaviors affect you, even when they're being inconsiderate, even when it seems like they did something to you, even when they steal your purse. Even when they steal your purse. Again, understand, sometimes bad things happen for a good reason. It happens for a reason. Bad things happen for a reason. It is your job to learn how to stay aligned during those periods, how to work past the contrast, not let it affect you, because the more solid you can stay in that, the better results you're going to get with this, and the more lasting result you'll get from this. You know, like if you keep staying aligned and staying in your positive vibration, in a high vibration in general, you will get what you want continuously. And it's going to be lasting stuff. It's not going to be something that comes for a little while and then leaves, or something that comes and then it didn't come the way you wanted, but like completely opposite of how you want it. If you are practicing your positive vibration at all times, you don't normally have to worry about that kind of stuff. Like your contrast moments are small ones. Like I would say, for me, one of my contrast moments was the first video being deleted. I'm past it now. I asked you to give me a little bit of time so a sister could get aligned. I fixed it. I'm still working on all of my patients. That was my contrast moment, as opposed to a contrast moment from like 3 years ago where I sold my car. So my point is, my contrast moments are different now because I have been practicing staying in the high vibration, and I'm practicing even more so not allowing other people to throw me off, because it's not their job to keep me aligned. It's my job. It is your job to keep yourself aligned. And if you really want to attract on purpose, to manifest on purpose, Be conscious of what you're putting out. Be conscious of what you want. Be conscious of your thoughts, your emotions, and put you first. Understand what you're putting out is what you're getting back, even if it's not in the same exact action. What you're putting out in general is what you're getting back in general. So are you putting out what you want, or are you getting back what you want? This is about you. So long story short, just always make sure you're stopping and checking in with yourself. How do I feel about this? What do I think about it? Stop and think about it. You don't owe anybody anything. You don't have deadlines. None of these rules here on earth apply to you once you're vibrating at a certain level. So get there. Keep working on it until you are there. And one more thing before I go ahead and tie this up. Like I mentioned in a previous video, when it comes to me referring to the universe as opposed to God or any other specific name, the way that I feel about it because of my journey is that it's all the same. People that are in the church praying, the people that are out of the church praying, the people that are doing witch rituals, the people that are doing voodoo, the people that are monks, people that are manifesting on purpose. It's all the same thing. Even discussing the differences, each method with other people, notice an ongoing theme. You have to believe, first of all. You have to believe, you have to mostly put out positivity if that is the result that you're looking for. And one of my favorite Bible verses when I was studying Christianity a long time ago was, I'm a little rusty, but I want to say it was Philippians 4. I'm not positive, and I'm not even verbatim because I read so many different Bibles that it's worded in so many different ways. You're going to know the verse I mean, though. However, the verse I'm referring to is, be anxious in nothing. The Lord is at hand. And, or, again, it might be a different version, but be humble. Oh, I'm going to have to dig out my Bible. That used to be my favorite verse. Be humble in all that you do. The Lord is at hand. Be gentle. Like, I've read so many versions, but long story short, it's pretty much the same thing. Don't allow anyone else to throw you off kilter because you're doing the work that you need to do, either for the Lord, for the universe, for your inner being. Your focus is you. People with kids may have questions about that. If it doesn't already seem clear to you, I'm gonna come back with another one for that, because again, even when it comes to kids, those are separate spirits. Please understand. If you have kids, you do understand. You can only say and do but so much. They're born the way they are born, right? Anywho, glad to have come back and made this episode. And yes, I will say, please manifest on. I'm glad if you are returning and watching the videos. Please subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe. Like and subscribe. All of that good stuff. I'm glad to have you back. Please join again on The Road Less Traveled. And I'm your host, Dolo. All of my links are below. But real ones, stay real. Be great. Don't accept the hate. And never surrender to the pretender. Dolo out.